Yeah, I think we can start. Um, Hello everyone. My name is Siddhant. I'm from Tech4Dev. Um, we have with us ATCF and Avni team, and this is the first time we are presenting it together. I'll just give you the brief background on the um, ATCF use case. Um, Let me share my screen. Oh, so Kanika, if you want to share your screen.
Is it visible?
Yes. Um, yeah. So ATCF manages the philanthropic capital of 80 enterprises, and Amit and Archana Chandra. It's based in Mumbai with a focus on sustainability, transforming marginalized lives at scale. They have two focus verticals: rural development and capacity building. Um, and Next slide. And these are the open source tools which ATCF is using right now. And it's common against non-profit. So Avni is an open source platform which helps for data collection for the field workers. Glyphic is an open source tool which is a two-way communication platform um, which help NGOs efficiently interact with their communities through WhatsApp. And Dalgo is an open source platform which enable organization to enable the organization workflows and streamline the data management and analytics. Next, next, yeah. So on the panel we have Arjun, who is the co-founder of Avni. Then we have Kanika, who is a senior manager at ATCF. Been there for 4.5 years, and she has worked before this in Tata Trust in the office of the managing trustee. Then we have Amrita, which heads the rural development, which comes with overall, and she comes with overall experience of 15 years, and she has worked with RGM before for 12 years. Uh, Now we'll pass it on to Arjun, Arjun and ATCF team, who will present this case study.
Thanks, Siddhant. Welcome, Amrita and Kanika. Thank you for joining us today. I am excited to review this case study with you. Amrita, you recently wrote an article in the Hindu Business Line about this. In the article, you've highlighted the severity of water crisis in the country. Can you elaborate a bit how widespread this issue is, especially across rural region in the country, and how it is affecting, how the water scarcity is affecting the communities?
Thanks for having me here, Arjun and Siddhant. It's a pleasure to be here and speak. So yeah, I think Arjun, you're asking an important question, and this is something that's been in the mind of the Parliament as well. Because in this monsoon session, a question was asked about the water security situation, and the Jal Shakti Ministry has responded saying that by 2030 we will be water stressed, which means that per capita availability of water is going to be lower than what is prescribed, right? And what we are also seeing as early as in December, and now later also then in February getting worse, is the drought-like conditions that are spreading, right? 540 districts were declared as getting very dry. 98 were declared as, severely dry by IMD in February. And this was largely because of the heat getting worse with climate change, right? And also the El Nino effect. So overall, we are seeing severe drought, and these are not conditions that go away. And you saw in cities also this is creeping up. In Delhi in May, we saw this whole, people clamoring on water tankers. We saw the issues in Bangalore where you all are based, right? So this is not a problem that we can wish away. And while right now we are looking at Wayanad, we're looking at Uttarakhand, and we're talking about floods, we're talking about landslide, we need to understand how to manage our water better, because most of our water is used in agriculture. And if we don't learn how to manage this water better, we are going to be in continued and worsening water distress.
Okay, yeah. The water stress and management is indeed an urgent matter and requires a comprehensive solution. Can you talk a bit about how at ATCF you are approaching this problem?
Sure. I think what we have on the one hand is a severe crisis, but what we also have is hope to create distributed water storage, right? The Jal Shakti Ministry, for instance, put out a report where it spoke extensively about how many water bodies are available in this country and enumerated around 24 lakh of them, right? And recently CSE has published a report where it talks about, yes, this is a problem, but if we take care of our existing water structures, there is a huge possibility to come back from the brink. So the report itself is called Back from the Brink, and it highlights great work done as a part of the Amrit Sarovar efforts that the government did to rapidly rejuvenate and build storage, and also talks about therefore why this kind of effort is needed. Right. So at AT Chandra Foundation, this is what we have been focusing on. As a rejuvenation of existing water bodies. How do you do this, and how do you do this at scale? The idea is very simple, Arjun. We looked at models that can quickly alleviate water stress when Maharashtra went into drought around 13-14. And we found that, there are enough existing structures. What really needs to be done is better maintenance, right? And if you involve communities in this maintenance, then it creates a win-win for the local community as well. And what do I mean when I say communities getting involved in the maintenance? What I mean is that a lot of what is happening when a structure loses its storage capacity, like a pond or a lake, is that fertile soil that is coming, that is around in the farms, is being washed into these ponds, right? Now, as is what you would do is you would hire a contractor. The contractor will go dig up the sand, put it on the side of the water body and leave, right? But if you thought about this creatively, and this is what we found from our friends at Caring Friends, the farmers could come, take the silt and then put it back on their farms, right? What this does is three things, right? One, it reduces the cost to government, because if government is going to do this, the entire work is contractor led, right? Here, because the farmers are bringing their own trolleys, it reduces cost to government significantly, right? Because 60% is actually the starting cost during excavation. Second is, what we are seeing is there is a 120% increase in income for the farmer in the first year itself, because you're putting this fertile silt on their land, right? Third is, for every cubic meter of silt that you're excavating, you're creating 1,000-liter capacity of water storage on the surface, right? And what we then realized is you can't do this alone, right? You can't do this as one foundation wanting to do this work. And right now the work is actually spread to around 6,000 water bodies across the country. So this is done because of critical partnerships, right? One is partnership with government. Most of this work is done through government, which funds the excavation costs, right? And we then work with other philanthropies wherein regions where there is not government money per se flowing in, like Rajasthan, other philanthropies come in, like the MFE, like Tata Capital, and put in this money to support the work. And we work with grassroots organizations, because how do farmers know this work is happening? How do they get mobilized to understand that the silt is fertile and they can cart it away? The grassroots organizations there play a key role. Right. So as I said, there are about 5,000, 6,000 water bodies we've worked on already, right? And one of the things we've realized is that if you want to really do this at a systemic level, right, you can't do this without tools, right? You can't do this in a one-off water body by water body manner, right? So these partnerships, like Siddhant was presenting in the tech, so these partnerships with the Tech for Dev ecosystem, with Samanvay, Dalgo, Glyphic, the partnership with the Foundation for Ecological Security, all of it helps us bring in critical tools that allow this to happen at scale, right? And what does it allow? It helps prioritize the right water bodies, because how do you know where to work in, right? It also then helps us to look at which ones to how do you monitor, right? And how do you then mobilize your farmers? How do you monitor? So for all this, what we've done is created and leveraged open source tools.
Fascinating. Yeah, this is a very comprehensive approach that you're taking, indeed. Uh, Maybe now next let's move to diving a bit deeper. So Kanika, if you could dive a bit deeper into how you are using these tech tools, which also is a focus of our webinar today. And if you can help the audience learn also how they are impacting your projects.
Yeah, thanks, Arjun. I'll just share my screen.
Sure.
So I think I won't go much into these slides because they've already been discussed. But as Amrita mentioned and described the model in detail, just to kind of give you a small personal experience of how it started, right? Back in like 2013, when our founders were on a field visit in a severe drought hit area of Maharashtra and Bid, they came across this intervention where they realized there were a couple of villages where, despite a severe drought, there was water availability and they were doing reasonably well, and tried to understand what it would be like to kind of ensure this same sustainability across villages, and studied this model in greater detail, for which we started supporting this particular model called rejuvenation of water bodies, or what we call as RWB in short. And obviously, you know, in terms of recording data, maintaining data, it started on with, as you would start on, right, like an Excel sheet. Okay, we are currently working on one water body in this village. What is the name of the water body location? So it started on with like maintaining Google Sheets, calling up partners regularly to get data. Okay, how much work has happened, how many farmers have carted silt. But soon, I think maybe like a year into it, we realized that this was not going to be something which is sustainable. If we are going to be working on more water bodies, and our aim was quite ambitious, we wanted to take it at that point of time to a state level and then obviously to a national level. We realized we had to build in tools, we had to build in technology into our systems. And coming from the founders who are extremely passionate about using tech to ensure that, you know, a lot of work is simplified, and our systems are more efficient, we realized the need for having an application to record all of our data at the start. So I think in 2019, with Samanvay, we started to develop a mobile application, and our teams worked with Arjun closely, I think, and there were multiple iterations as to what sort of data you need. Is this an important data point, not an important data point? But yeah, it started on with working on a mobile application, getting that developed to a place where you get data points from across different sources. We kind of want information about every water body with images which are geotagged, with the latitude, longitude. We also wanted data of the farmer who was carting silt. We also realized that a lot of times when we collect this data, there was no authentication at that point of time. So we developed a system with them to ensure that the farmer details are OTP verified. So we take their contact numbers, send them an OTP and get it verified. We also had, collected information of the machines which were used for rejuvenation, what is the registration number, how many hours the machine has worked. We also have details of the operator. So in case anybody ever in the future, including a collector, including an organization, wants to kind of go back to see, okay, this is the work that we've done. Can I call a farmer to check whether this actually happened, not happened? It's a very thorough, comprehensive repository of data, which we started to maintain using the application that was developed by Samanvay Foundation. And since then, I think we've come a long way. As Amrita mentioned, we are currently at about 6,000 water bodies across the country. We collect data of every particular water body, every machine, every farmer, and we could not have done this without the use of technology. Just to give you an insight as to the scale of data that is being collected, just from April this year, I think we have data of more than 2.5, I think now, crore cubic meter of silt and 18,000 farmers, which is captured within these apps. So that is a brief about how we started on and the quantum of data that is being collected throughout the work that we do. Obviously, as and when you start working more on projects, you realize the need of having troubleshooting solutions. So we would get like, I think one of my colleagues unfortunately had fractured his leg last year. And, because he was at home, we said, okay, now you solve all the queries related to an application related to Avni. So which he really had to like answer multiple calls, maybe like more than 500 calls at some point of time, to kind of problem solve queries of CRPs, of people using the app and different parts of the country. So we realized there was a need to bring in a tool or some sort of system which enables troubleshooting. So then that's how we developed a chatbot, and I'll talk about it in the slides following. And similarly, we realized there was a need to have like modules out there or videos which would help people understand what the model is, share wherein live experiences from ground, from farmers, videos of how actually excavation is done using machines can be shared. So we developed an LMS system which enables training, which shows through videos the work actually that is happening on ground. And also there's a small test at the end with questions. So you actually know the person who has looked at the video understands the work. And all these are basically multilingual sort of tools which we want to create, and they are open source. And we realized also this year that while we have all of this repository at different places, there was a need for consolidation. And that's where we felt we wanted a live interactive dashboard, and we started working with Dalgo to create the same. I'll just move to the next slide. So as I mentioned, for the mobile application, right, I've covered most of this, but we go into a lot of detail when we try to get information. But at the same time, we try to make it very easy for the person using it. And it's not very lengthy. There are basic questions which need to be filled in, like details of the water body, the number of farmers who've collected silt from the water body, all of that. As I mentioned, the data is verified so that you can obviously triangulate data as well at the end of it. So you have a very holistic repository of data. And the unique part about it, apart from being verified, is that there is a maker checker system. Once you, like the person who inserts the data or uploads the data is different from the person who approves it. Depending on the model where we are working at some cases, it would be an NGO person at like a CRP and the NGO head. Whereas in Maharashtra, we've had the government nodal officer being an approver. So all of the data that they put in is approved, rejected by the nodal officer, depending on the actual documents that have been uploaded. So it really helps bring about a lot of transparency in the work that we do. And given that it is real-time data, it actually helps us understand what is the status of work that is happening on ground. Is there any district where we need to really follow up with if we don't see data coming into the app, though they have registered all the work that needs to be done. So Avni has been, we've gone through multiple iterations, but I think we've reached a stage where it works very efficiently. We've not really got a lot of, initially there was a lot of pushback from NGOs and government officials because it's a lot more work for them at the start. But once they start using it, we've got like really good feedback to say that this has made our work so much easier now. We don't need to maintain big files of data, and we can just look into the app. If anybody asks us about a farmer or about a water body, the information as to how much work happened, when it happened, with photographs is available on the app. So we've really, I think, benefited a lot with Avni, and I'm sure we're trying to kind of make it even more user-friendly, but it is something that we really take pride in, even while working with the government. And Amrita, do you want to add anything on this, or should I move on to the next?
No, I completely agree. I think it's been a great journey for us but we'll talk about it in a little more detail and I'll come back. But move ahead, Kanika.
Okay. Yeah. So then, as I mentioned, we realized that we were getting a lot of calls because people were like, we've got the login ID, but we're not sure how to use it, and there were a lot of teething issues, obviously. And we realized that instead of a human person or a person from our team constantly answering these calls, if we have a system where a WhatsApp chatbot or a chatbot or a recorded automated system can be developed to address the basic queries related to the app, that would be really useful. So that's when we started working with Glyphic and we developed a WhatsApp chatbot. This chatbot is in multiple languages and it provides all the information needed to use the app. So I will show you all a video later where it actually kind of tells you, okay, if you want any solution related to a registration or related to your end lines or related to any part of the app use, it's a very easy to use WhatsApp chatbot. And the idea was that someone doesn't have to actually manually be doing this. And we've realized that 80% of our time that we spent last time on answering these queries has actually significantly reduced because of using the WhatsApp chatbot. So it's come in very useful, and we are in the years to come, or even in the coming year, going to try to use it as much more as we can, to build in different modules into it and to also try to integrate it with the other apps that we use. The next one that we kind of used or leveraged for our project was Vowel LMS, which is a learning management system. And the need for this actually came, we felt the need to have videos quite a long time back, maybe like maybe 2 to 3 years back, where we realized that when we even talk about this work with other stakeholders, other interested donors, or the government, we wanted to show videos, we wanted to show how it is actually done, or just share it with people so that they understand it, on their own. But we actually got to doing it in the last year, wherein we developed around, I think, 9 to 10 videos, which are again available in 3 languages. And these videos would kind of break down 2 things. One, how the model works. When I say the model, I mean the excavation model. The role of the machinery, the role of the machine operator, how much silt do you actually excavate, how do the farmers have to cart it, all of that. The other aspect or the other module is on the app, on the use of the app. How do you use the app? What are the different steps that are to be taken? So it's a very holistic, a very comprehensive video. And given that it's a video, it's very easy to understand, and obviously available in 3 languages, as I said. And what we've tried to do is to ensure that people watch the entire video. And when I say people, I refer to CRPs, the community resource people who are actually doing the work on ground, nodal officers who are trying to understand, in case they're not sure about how to use the app or what the model is, for them to actually go through all of these videos in detail, understand it, and take a short quiz of about 4 to 5 questions at the end of every video. It kind of helps us understand, okay, CRPs are aware of what the project is, what they are working for. And I think it really helps motivate them also, because a lot of times, we've seen people are just appointed to do the data collection. They do not have an idea of what the project is, what they are working towards. So just to understand the impact of their data recording, it's helping actually create so many or restore so many cubic liters of water, is something we felt was important. And we also provide a certificate at the end of it, so it's a great incentive for them to take these courses, learn about the model, learn about the app. So I think it just helps to automate the entire training process, which until this year we've actually gone on ground and done with the CRPs, done with a lot of NGOs in different districts, with district collectors, district nodal officers. We hope this automates it to an extent and helps us in saving our bandwidth in terms of training. Moving on, I think these were the main tools that we kind of integrated our work with. And as I mentioned with Avni, when we got in all the data from the data collection happening on ground, we got them in formats which were available on Jasper, which would give you Excel sheets of data which were like flow into like thousands of pages. To say, okay, these are the, for example, this screenshot talks about details of farmers. So if you see district wise, you get the breakup of how many farmers have registered, how many are active, how many have carted silt, what is the quantum of silt that they have carted, all of that. While this gave us comprehensive data and us, for me, Amrita, as a team to actually work on, it really helped. We would download these Excels, analyze the data, all of that. But I think more at a senior level for Amrita and our CEO founders to look at it holistically overall, we felt there was a need for like a dashboard, so to say, or like, some sort of graphs, analytics to be incorporated into it so that it would enable quick and efficient decision making rather than somebody always having to download them and work on them. So while this works great for a team, but I think at a decision making level, we felt we needed a more holistic dashboard which would consolidate these huge quantums of data. So that's when we kind of reached out to Dalgo and we said, how can we work on getting all of this data from different projects, different states, different stakeholders integrated into one platform, which would help and ease decision making, which would kind of flag off any errors, any errors or exceptions which come up in any district or any particular machine not working well, or district is not recording as much data as it needed to at a more holistic level. And that's when we wanted to design something with them. And our basically our few criteria which are mentioned here was that we wanted to ensure improved decision making, and it should be real time because what is shown to us in the report should also be reflected in the dashboard, and with good visualization support, and this would ensure, like, even if a state government officer or a national central level government officer wanted to look at the data, while the reports would give them the data, having something like this would definitely help them make any decisions or understand what the overall picture is like. So these are a few screenshots of the data that we kind of get from Dalgo. If you see the one which is on the left side, on the top left, it talks about the silt excavated district wise. You can even filter down depending on which state, which district, which village you want to see, which water body, and it will give you the data accordingly. Similarly, it gives you a breakup of how many farmers are small, marginal, large. What is the verification of mobile numbers, like flagging of exceptions that this district maybe, you need to check in. A lot of them are repetitive numbers. So things like that helps us actually find out any mistakes, any exceptions, any errors. Similarly, for Glyphic, we've developed a dashboard. Glyphic is the chatbot that we use. So, how many messages are incoming, outgoing, which district is actually interacting more, which level of people are asking more questions, what is the question they ask the most, where are they getting stuck, that then helps us, do we need to kind of make that process slightly easier, so because there are a lot of questions coming in for that. So overall, this is like a framework that we use. And as I mentioned, we see immense potential in this model, and the role that we kind of focus on now is advocating it at a national level to make it a model which is available for anybody to adopt with open source tools, easily implementable for them. With all ready tools in place, we even had them prioritize which water bodies to work on, which areas you can work on. So as a team, we focus a lot on that because it's a very simple model in terms of implementation. It's not rocket science, but just making available these tools kind of helps government take it up, helps different organizations take it up. So that's what our aim is, to kind of make it a system which runs really well, even without us or ATCF being in the picture. We would really wish to become redundant in this space after a couple of years, and let this be something that is run by governments using all of these tools that we've helped created with the support of this great team who is on this call as well. And yeah, we are working with them to make it more efficient, to bring in the use of AI, to provide some prompts when needed and things like that. So I think that's an ongoing process. The more you work on the model, the more you realize what can be done. But yeah, I think I'll stop here, and maybe I'll just showcase my video if I can for like the next 2 minutes, and then open up for any questions. In case you are not able to hear the sound, just let me know because I can't see the screen.
ATE चंद्रा फाउंडेशन ने 6,500 से भी अधिक जलाशयों के पुनर्जीवीकरण में योगदान देने के बाद अग्रणी ओपन सोर्स टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोवाइडर्स के साथ मिलकर ऐसे उपकरण बनाए हैं जिन्हें पब्लिक डिजिटल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के रूप में प्रस्तुत किया जाता है। ये उपकरण महत्वपूर्ण हितधारकों के लिए वास्तविक समय में निगरानी और सूचना की जानकारी देते हैं, जिससे सही ट्रैकिंग और कुशल अमलीकरण पक्का होता है। गौरतलब है कि काम की निगरानी के लिए महाराष्ट्र सरकार अवनी ग्रामीण ऐप का इस्तेमाल करती है, जिसमें 449 से ज्यादा एनजीओ 2024 में जुड़े हैं और 1376 यूजर इस ऐप का उपयोग करते हैं। एक, अवनी ग्रामीण। अवनी ग्रामीण एक मोबाइल ऐप है जो कम्युनिटी रिसोर्स पर्संस यानी कि सीआरपी को हर जलाशय में हो रहे कार्यों का वास्तविक समय में रिकॉर्ड रखने में काम आता है। ये ओपन सोर्स टूल जलाशय पुनर्जीवीकरण कार्य के लिए बनाया गया है एवं ऑफलाइन और कई भाषाओं में उपलब्ध है। ये 3 विशिष्ट पहलुओं पर जानकारी प्राप्त करने में मदद करता है। 1, जलाशय जिस पर काम हो रहा है। 2, खुदाई में प्रयुक्त मशीन तथा 3, जलाशय की मिट्टी निकालने वाले किसानों या ग्राम पंचायतों की जानकारी। तो इसलिए अमलीकरण के हर पहलू को परखा जाता है, जिसमें शामिल है काम से पहले और बाद में जलाशयों की जियो टैग की गई फोटो, किसानों के ट्रैक्टर ट्रॉली और मशीनों के काम के घंटों की जानकारी आदि। हर रोज ऐप को अपडेट करने में एनजीओ नियुक्त सीआरपी की मुख्य भूमिका होती है। ऐप अपडेट होने के बाद किसी यूजर को काम की स्थिति जाननी हो, वो जैस्पर का उपयोग करके प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट यूनिट द्वारा तैयार की गई विस्तृत रिपोर्ट देख सकता है। डैशबोर्ड के माध्यम से निर्णय स्तर का भी पता चलता है। 3, ग्लिफिक व्हाट्सएप चैटबॉट। अवनी ग्रामीण ऐप का उपयोग कैसे करें, इसके लिए ऑफलाइन और ऑनलाइन दोनों तरह से ट्रेनिंग की सुविधा होती है। हालांकि डेटा देने वाले और उसे परखने वाले दोनों के पास ऐप के उपयोग के बारे में कुछ सवाल हो सकते हैं। व्हाट्सएप आधारित अवनी ग्रामीण चैटबॉट तुरंत उनके प्रश्नों को हल करने में मदद करता है, ताकि प्रयोगकर्ता का अनुभव बेहतर हो सके। जैसे यदि किसी सीआरपी को किसान की रोज की डेटा रिकॉर्डिंग प्रक्रिया को पूरा करने में सहायता चाहिए, तो वो अपने प्रश्न के उचित जवाब के लिए चैटबॉट विकल्प की मदद ले सकता है। 4, डैशबोर्ड प्रगति। अवनी ग्रामीण ऐप से प्राप्त डेटा को एक डैशबोर्ड से इकट्ठा और साझा किया जाता है। डैशबोर्ड की मदद से निर्णयकर्ता ऐप में डेटा की लेन-देन की प्रक्रिया पर नजर रख सकते हैं। जब ऐप में डेटा प्रवाहित होना शुरू होता है, डैशबोर्ड निर्णयकर्ताओं को प्रगति पर नजर रखने में मदद करता है। अवनी ग्रामीण और डैशबोर्ड सोशल मीडिया उपकरण हैं, जो सार्वजनिक डिजिटल आधारभूत व्यवस्था के रूप में उपलब्ध है।
Yeah, so yeah, that was it from my end. Arjun, Siddhant, Amrita, you can take over.
Wow, I'm like hearing you talk so passionately and seeing this video. This is really, I would say, amazing and encouraging for us as especially as techies working in the development sector. So this is really amazing how you are using these tech tools collaboratively to manage the operations efficiently at this scale. Uh, Incidentally, I noticed that, and you also mentioned that the tools are open source, right? Like all of these, Avni, Dalgo, Cliffic, Vowel LMS. In fact, many of them are also recognized as digital public goods by UN as well. So is there a conscious choice? Is this incidental, or is there a conscious choice that you're making to choose these open source platforms?
So this is a conscious choice. I just want to clarify here, Bubble is not open source. It is run through a as a SaaS, but that's because we are testing whether what works right there. But the content in Bubble is open source because that's our own digital library. But everything else, like you said, all the tools from the Tech for Dev stable, the tool that Kanika mentioned that we use for prioritization, all of those are open source. It's a very, very conscious choice. The first reason we're making this choice is because, as we've emphasized, all of this work is done in collaboration with government, right? And when governments come in to do the work, you have to give them the flexibility to white label tools and use it as their own, right? So Kanika gave you the stats there. She said 2.5 crore cubic meters of excavation data with 20,000 farmers has come on the app. This is because the government of Maharashtra has decided to record all of its work under the Gal Muktar and Gal Yukt Sugar scheme, which is their water body rejuvenation scheme, on Avni, right? Because they understand the power of saving this data. So when they want to do something like this, when the data needs to then go flow into governmental dashboards, talk easily with existing systems, open source becomes a very good choice. Right. The second reason is because we are a philanthropy. So what we want to really do and encourage is support in building tools that is useful for our use case, but also is useful for the larger development sector. Right? Like I'll give you an example. Last year when we were looking at the photos, visibility of photos that are being uploaded onto the Avni tool, Gunj and us were able to come together very quickly and build out a public viewing system for the entire Samanvai ecosystem, right? So, and what that means is we were cross-subsidized by Gunj, and between Gunj and us, we cross-subsidize every Samanvai user, right? And we know that there are others who are similarly paying for development that then we get benefit of, right? So what that helps us very easily do is piggyback on solutioning as a sector, because we know that you need an offline capability when you need to work on the ground. You need multilingual capability. You need these tools to be, having as many users as possible. And 450 NGOs this year logged into Avni and recorded data, right? And so even if you take that as a 2 CRPs or 3 CRPs per, so we had more than 1,000 people logging in from across the ecosystem, right? And we can't have, oftentimes when you bring in technology into a development program, the costs break the use, right? If you go down a SaaS model. So it's the effective, the pricing also is a huge decision factor for us. But essentially public money for public good driving that decision to go open source.
Makes sense. Public money being used to create public goods. Interesting indeed. And while the video was playing and you were also talking about the journey, I was reflecting back on how this started, at least when we got involved. So it was January 2019 when Kurun from Tech for Dev, I got a call from Kurun that there is so and so scheme by Maharashtra government. ATCF is taking it forward, supporting it. There is also KPMG managing the project and so on. And they are looking for a tool that would help them do data daily monitoring in offline settings, mainly in rural areas. So then he thought of OpenCHS that time. Avni was called OpenCHS that time. We were working majorly on health-based projects at that point in time. But yeah, it made sense. We deliberated in the team. We discussed that what we can do about this, and it made sense to expand to make OpenCHS more generic, to be able to cater to wider needs, in a way similar needs, that there is offline, there is field work that is involved, there is case management, longitudinal data tracking that is involved. But at the same time, it's not specific to one sector. It is in a way sector agnostic. And we quickly turned it around that time. I mean, it was beginning January, we got this we got into this conversation, and by I think mid-February or February end, we had rolled it out that time with a very basic version of the application. And then, of course, it was well received that time. It was able to do basic job of capturing those daily monitoring forms. But at the same time, there was feedback. And like Kanika also mentioned, this has been our journey. Every season, we roll it out, a new version. And then we have learnings because the program is also evolving, expanding. The scale is increasing continuously. And so we identify newer set of features, and at the same time now newer products also, to create a comprehensive overall solution. So this has been indeed a journey, and in that journey, in fact, the name Avni also, I mean, I would say credit goes to this project. So then we renamed it from OpenCHS to Avni, which means field or earth at that point. And I mean, so this to make it more generic compared to health sector. So yeah, I think Avni has grown a lot in this 5 or 6 years that we've been working together. So yeah, thanks to ATCF and Tech4Dev for like making that connection at that point in time. And yeah, this has been like a fascinating journey so far. How do you folks reflect on this, or any takeaways or any learnings that you'd like to share with the audience, or any hints on way forward, like what you're planning next?
Yeah, so I think it's been a collaboration, right? I think what I've really enjoyed in the last couple of years that I've gotten on this journey is the collaboration. And I see that across the Tech4Dev offerings, right? Arjun, you are our oldest partner, so our most patient. But now with Siddhant, who has come in, or even with the Glyphic team, um, data begets data, right? And Kanika said it very smoothly when she was presenting that, we started and then we got more, we had some insights and we wanted more insights, right? So, both in terms of a usability perspective, now that we have, 500 NGOs on it, from a data representation perspective, from a query solving perspective, there has been multiple iterations, right? And sometimes these iterations happen, like you mentioned, they have to happen at breakneck speed because it's really a 45-day window of implementation. We can't have things collapsing. We can't have errors, right? We have to have data shared continuously with like Kanika said, downloaded, reports made, shared back with decision makers at state level, at district level, and in other government projects at the appropriate levels, right? When all of this is happening, I think the spirit of collaboration has been exceptional, and I want to call that out, right? With all of these tools, I think that's the one common thing that I see. I also see that our use case itself is expanding, right? When we started working with you all, the idea really was to say, okay, now the government of Maharashtra wants to understand how much work is happening because they are giving a subsidy for diesel. So how do they know how much diesel they should subsidize? It's a very simple question, right? But now when we take that information, we are visualizing it on Dalgo, what we see. And when last year when one of our teammates managed it himself because we didn't have an NGO partner, we realized this could be a really powerful tool in the hands of NGOs to say where is the work happening, how much work is happening, which CRP of mine is doing well, which CRP needs a little more hand holding, who could become a master trainer of sorts to train others on mobilizing farmers, right? So this is why the whole Dalgo experiment also started, because we said, why are we taking the onus of converting this data into translatable items, right? This should be in the hands of, let's say, every government official at the level of a nodal officer at a district, but also at a state and central level, and also in the hands of the NGOs, because they are the ones finally responsible for execution and they need to know how the work is happening, right? And now Dalgo gives us the power to do that. And now, as we see questions, right now at the back end, what's happening is people are looking at what are the questions that are coming in on the app use itself by glyphic. So when we see those questions, then how do we improve answers to those questions, right? Are we able to solve those questions in runtime? Somebody is picking up the phone there and saying, okay, this is what it is. But like Kanika said, can we bring in AI then to predict the next series of questions, right? What are the next set of issues? How do you solve for those? Is something that the team is also talking to Glyphic about. So I think it's an interesting journey, right? And I think what two things I think underlie this journey for me. One is patience, because there are often times that, like I said, things need to happen at breakneck speed, but also we need to understand the use case. So there needs to be that collaboration and patience. And the second thing I think is curiosity, right? Curiosity at all our ends, because this is, so someone from Arjun will call and say, oh, Amrita, this data is there, but I don't think this is not showing well. Do we do that? And then we have Siddhant, who's now coming in and also thinking about, okay, but do you want to represent it like this? Do you want to show it like that? What is the more useful way to look at it, right? So I think that sense of collaboration and curiosity and become very, very critical. And I think that's really stood out for me from this journey. Kanika, you can add, because you've also seen this evolve.
Amrita, you've pretty much covered what the experience is, what the experience has been, and what our learnings have been. I think patience is key. Yeah, I think the team has been extremely supportive, understanding, and tried to solve things, because honestly, I am not a tech person at all. So, being able to understand what we need, given the way we kind of describe our problem, and understanding it and trying to address it, and within teams, how things can be done, how do you pull data from this into the dashboard. I think the team has done a lot of work by themselves, and understood the model, the program. So really credit goes to the team for sure.
Great. Kanika keeps saying that I'm not a tech, and I've seen her also. Her language has also over a period has kind of changed. Now she's able to use those tech words also, and all of that in last three years or so. So it's amazing. I think we are infectious. We know that. So I mean, yeah, this is great. I think there are some questions as well in the chat box, so I'll read some questions. There is first one from and Siddhant, help me if I miss out any question. But so there
Yeah,
is a question
I
from
can
Ninad
answer.
from
Yeah.
Apnalay. So the LMS content was it already digitized? Did you do any pilot in relation to how the content could be?
So that's a very interesting question. Our original SOP document was a 500 slide PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So that's where the whole idea for how do you make this content easier to access started, because even we, frankly, beyond the point, were getting lost, right? So when we then looked at best practices, and the one thing that at ATCF we do is we look for best practices first. We don't presume that we are the only ones that know solutions, right? And that's how we came to Tech for Dev, rather than trying to build our own, custom made, which is the temptation, right? You go and build your own app because then everything is under your control. So one of the things that we did realize was that the whole step experience in creating, learning via tech is something that we really understood and tried to internalize. So we had a first iteration of content pieces that we released last year, which we used and circulated amongst our NGO partners to see how is the understanding, right? But there our videos were all 5.5 minutes long. And we got feedback that that's way too long. Right here we were thinking it's great, 5 minutes is very fast, but then we realized that if it's not less than 3 minutes, then you cannot really engage an audience, and definitely not somebody who's in a low bandwidth setting, right? So then we had a second iteration where we said, okay, now we really have to go back to the drawing board. We need to communicate the same messages, but we need to be sharper. So then we went back to the drawing board and we kind of made each of these 2 to 3 minutes long. And what we then did, and we got a very interesting opportunity with the Karmayogi Bharat team, because I don't know if you know the Karmayogi Bharat work. This is something that the government of India puts up. as a learning platform for all the government officials across the country, okay, at every level. So what you can do, you log in, you register, and you learn, right? That's the idea, right? How do you digitize learning? So because a lot of this work is really government facing, they said, why don't you come and put this up on the Karma Yogi Bharat platform? And when we got that opportunity, this content was reviewed by them as well, because what they are, let's say at a gram panchayat level, what would a sarpanch look at it? At the same time, a district collector has to be able to look at it and say, okay, I want to do this in my district, right? So there were a lot of inputs that came from them as well, that, you have to do it like this, your questions have to be in a certain way. So all of that helped us sharpen the offering. We are still don't think it's perfect. We still are wondering if there should be a bunch of simulation, if there should be something that allow the user to kind of analyze the experience of, let's say, if I want to implement RWB, then how should I be looking at it? Can we do a simulated exercise on that? So there are still some things, but it's just an iteration, right? So we are in V2 right now. That's how I would answer that.
Thanks. There is a next question from Shivani Singh from Youth Dreamers Foundation. While Kanika has answered this question, I think it's a very pertinent question. So I'd like, for the audience's benefit, whoever cannot read chat also. So the question is, since the digital literacy in rural India is quite low, how did you manage to implement these tools effectively and smoothly among the farmers? Maybe Kanika, if you can answer that,
Yeah, so I think for farmers, what we try to do is the content library videos that we've created, right? We want it to be in multiple languages. So at least the video of the model as to what the model does, how does it benefit in terms of the silt use for farmers, sharing farmer experiences. That is something we would like to use, or like the NGOs that we work with to use to mobilize the communities to kind of tell them or train them on how this has benefited other farmers, how it has worked in other states and other districts. And it basically becomes like a community mobilization tool to reach farmers, so to say, and to kind of help them have access to these videos, since we directly do not work on ground. But I think apart from that, I think what we felt is that a lot of farmers are using different like they are on WhatsApp, they have access to different channels of information, and organizations who are enrooted in community have access to farmers. So we use that channel to reach farmers directly, and we try to make our content more easy to understand and in different languages so it can reach the community.
Cool. Thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience? I think that's all, right, Siddhant? I don't see any other question right now in the chat box, but
Yeah,
I think
if anyone
yeah.
have a question, we will take 5 minutes to answer that. So if you can speak up. Anyone?
Okay, if there are no questions right now, maybe we can just if everyone is okay, we can type in our email IDs, and if people would like to send us any questions or comments, then they can email to us. So
Um,
I'm just putting in my email ID. Maybe Amrita and Kanika, if that's okay, then I'll just.
I just want to run a quick poll. Whoever is joined, I'm just going to. You will see it on your screen. So. Um, So I see 19 people have already filled it. In the meantime, if anyone have question, please ask. And also we will request everyone to fill this. Um,
Okay, I think we
okay.
can for now we can so I think we can close out this segment. First of all, I mean thank again all of you, Amrita, Kanika, Siddhant, for being able to uh, get this all together. I'm sure that even it's coming in the feedback section that this is very valuable sharing that will help community or anybody who's looking to embark on this journey. So thanks for taking out time to get this together. And like Ninad said, that this whole case study of this uh, this kind of collaboration, it's not very common in the sector. So it's indeed interesting for everyone. So thank you so much.